All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're on day 3. We're multiplying polynomials now. We're going to start off by multiplying a monomial by a binomial. So this has one term and this has two terms. Now, these are just problems numbers 3 and 8 respectively from your assignment. So we're going to start with these. We're also going to do numbers 11, 13, 19, 21, and 23 so that you get a good head start on your homework. So without further ado, here we go. We have to distribute. So we have 2x times negative 2x. That'll be negative 4x squared. Don't forget that 1 plus 1. We're adding the exponents, and that's where this 2 comes from right here. And then we have 2x times a negative 3, which will be a negative 6x. Those aren't like terms, so we are finished. All right. Now, next up over here, we have a binomial, which is 2 terms, times another binomial, which is 2 terms. So here's what we have. We're going to take this first term, and we're going to multiply it by this whole binomial right here. So 8p times 6p plus 2. Then we're going to take the second term, which is negative 2, and we're going to distribute that to the same binomial, 6p plus 2. So that's the first step. That's me showing my work, ladies and gentlemen, which is what I expect out of you. Now this is going to be 48p squared. P times p is p squared. 8p times 2 is 16p. And then I have negative 12p. And then I have negative 4. Now, this is a good place to check because here we had a monomial times a binomial, and we had 2 terms. Now, when you have 2 times 2, we should end up with 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, the one difference here is these 2 middle terms should combine. But after you multiply the first time, whatever you have here, if it's a binomial times a binomial, so 2 times 2 equals 4, we should check and make sure I have 4 terms. So if I ever had a 3-term polynomial, a trinomial, times a 2-term polynomial, a binomial, I should end up with 6 terms before simplifying. Anyway, to finish this problem up, we're going to go ahead and combine the like terms that we have. We have 48p squared. That stays alone. We're going to add 4p to it because 16p minus 12p is 4p, and then the minus 4 right there. Completely simplified, we are finished with those 2 problems. Next up, we have another binomial times a binomial. So let's jump into it. So 2a times 8a minus 5, and then minus 1 times 8a minus 5. So 16a squared minus 10a, and then minus 8a, and don't forget a negative times a negative is a positive 5. So I got my 4 terms. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine these 2 middle terms. I have 16a squared minus 18a plus 5. And that's the trinomial that we end up with. Now, be very careful on number 13, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the same thing as having 4p minus 1 times 4p minus 1. Just like if I had 8 squared, that's the same thing as 8 times 8. So here's what we got. Take this first term and we're going to distribute to that. So 4p times 4p minus 1. And then we have the second term, which is minus 1 times 4p minus 1. So 16p squared minus 4p minus 4p, and then plus 1. That's a negative 1 times a negative 1, so plus 1 there. Now, these 2 middle terms do not go away. They actually add up in this case. So 16p squared minus 8p plus 1. And that's what we end up with there. All right, so 4 problems down, 3 to go. And these ones get a little bit more difficult here, because now I have a binomial times a trinomial. And as previously mentioned, we have to do is when you have 2 terms times 3 terms, we should end up with 6 terms after multiplying through. So we're going to start by distributing to 4a. So 4a times 6a squared minus a plus 2, and plus 2 times 6a squared minus a plus 2. So took each of these 2 terms and distributed it to that. Now here we go. This is going to be, I'm going to go slowly. 4a times 6a squared is 24a to the 3rd, because 1 plus 2 is 3. Then 4a times negative a is negative 4a squared. Then I have 4a times 2, which would be plus 8a. So that first one is done. Now over here, this will be 2 times 6a squared, which would be 12a squared. And then we have negative 2a. And then we have plus 4. All right, so then we have our 2 terms times 3 terms, 6 terms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms here. So we know we did something right. Now, we're not finished though, because we have to collect like terms. The 24, 8 to the third stands alone. These two are like terms, and they add up to 8a squared. And then I have 8a minus 2a, which would be plus 6a. And then, last but not least, my plus 4. So there it is. That is a polynomial of 4 terms, degree of 3, if you don't remember that. And then moving on. 2 more questions. Here we go. Now we have a trinomial, so 3 terms times 2 terms. So once again, we're going to end up with 6 terms after the initial distribution when we multiply it out. So we're going to start with 7r squared times 2r minus 4. And then I have my second term, which is negative 6r times 2r minus 4. And then I have my negative 6 times 2r minus 4. So here we go. Let me change the color because green's kind of making me lose my mind. I have 14r to the third minus 28r squared minus 12r squared plus 24r minus 12r from here, and then that'll be a plus 24. So lots of 12s and 24s there, or at least a couple of them. All right, so now we're going to combine some like terms. This stands alone, so I have 14r to the third there. It stays. This is an r squared, and that's an r squared. That's nice that they're right next to each other. That'd be minus 40r squared. Once again, those are nice next to each other too, so it'd be plus 12r and then plus 24. And there we have our answer there. Now on 23, it's the last problem that I'm going to help you out with, but as soon as I get to a certain point here, I'm going to end the video and you're going to finish this problem and then finish all the rest of the problems on that worksheet, the assignment. So this is a trinomial times a trinomial. Now, on this one, we have 3 terms here and 3 terms there. So after the initial distribution, we're going to end up with 9 terms because 3 times 3 is 9. So we're going to start here. 6n squared times 7n squared. So we're multiplying it by all this plus 6n minus 5. Then I have negative 6n times 7n squared plus 6n minus 5. Then finally I have negative 5 times the same trinomial, 7n squared plus 6n minus 5. And I was really close to running out of room there. Okay. So now I'm going to distribute this. This will be 42n to the fourth, because 2 plus 2 is 4 there. Then I have plus 36n to the third. Then I have minus 30n squared. Followed by, and I'll go ahead and color code this too. Now these will all be in green. This will be minus 42n to the third minus 36n. And then we have a plus, because negative times negative is a positive, 30n. Then we have negative 35n squared minus 30n plus 25. And if I were to count these, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 terms. So I've done something correct there. The number should be that. So now I'm going to combine, oh actually no, here's where you're going to jump in, all right? You're going to go ahead and you're going to combine the like terms and finish the rest of the problem. So don't forget you start with this, and I'll even help out this way. Start doing this, how about? So here, let me match this. Here's an end of the third, there's an end of the third, so those should match up.
my n squareds, I have 1 here, 1 there. I should, hopefully you found this. Go ahead and fix this. This should be negative 36n squared right here. So that should be another one. So sorry about that, but I caught my mistake. Then let's do this. I have my n's here. Oh, they look like those go away too. Nice. And then last but not least, gray. All right, good luck. Thank you.